Hey, this is Tyler with Turf Teq, and today we're going to be walking through how to replace the clutch cable on the machine here. So it can be a little bit tricky to get underneath to the cable to get it replaced, but in order to get the clutch cable replaced and have it be durable, we do need to follow some instructions for getting the clutch cable removed and put on, more importantly on the reassembly side of things. For the durability aspect. But anyways, first go underneath the machine. We'll flip it back here. The clutch cable connects into the clutch right here underneath on the multi-use machine. This is on the 1305. Now on the 1304, it's going to be a similar setup, but this clutch will not be here. Instead, it will be a tensioner pulley on the edger on the fixed frame machine. But on the multi-use machine, these are all the same. So in here is where the spring connects. Let's see if you can get in here. So the spring connects into the clutch arm, and then back in here, if we can get zoomed in, if you can see if we can sharpen that up a little bit. I'm not having any luck right now, but so there is a jam nut all the way at the back here, and the jam nut where the cable goes through the frame is where the adjustment is for the cable. Some of the adjustment, half of the adjustment I should say, is for the cable, and that is where the cable needs to be removed underneath the frame. Definitely the worst part of this job for sure is getting these jam nuts back here. See if I can reach my hand in here. So there's a jam nut right in here. Oop, there we go. So there's a jam nut right back where my finger's pointing, and you need to be able to get that off. So in order to loosen that up, you take a 1/2 inch wrench back in there and start to turn the jam nut that is on the closer side to you, and loosen that guy up. Then you'd be able to get your hand in there and take the jam nut completely off, and that will actually get the cable out of the frame. And also, you need to take this nylock nut off and this top washer off of the clutch arm in order to get the old spring, the spring end on the cable off of the clutch itself. Then, for the easy part, come back up to the top of the machine, and there's a similar setup up here where we have 2 jam nuts, one on either side. Just need to take this top one off. So unthread it all the way, and that will allow you to slip the cable out of the frame, and then of course take this jam nut off up here, or excuse me, a nylock nut off up top, and just take this eyelet off of here. Then to put the new cable on the machine, you just reverse the process. Now down underneath, what I can't really get a good shot of underneath the tractor is that there's going to be a collar on the cable, much like this, and you want to set it about in the center when you're putting the cable into the frame down underneath the engine pod. That'll get you about halfway on the adjustment, and that is typically where we set them from the factory when they're brand new, and that'll put you in the sweet spot for about where we expect cable adjustment to need to be. Now again, when we reinstall this, it can be a bit of a bugger getting the cable routed back into the frame in the back there. Again, going through that top hole, and you can see it coming forward, that cable coming forward. And then on the new cable, you'll just put the spring has a hook on it. It'll go above this washer here. And then you put the top washer on, and then add on the jam nut. Now the very important part when you're securing this jam nut, the nylock nut back down on top here, it'll make sure that you do not over tighten this thing. This spring in here needs to be able to move laterally, and needs to have just a tiny bit of wiggle up and down as well. So when you do tighten that down, you can tighten it down all the way, snug it down all the way, and then you need to back it off about a 1/2 turn to allow it to have the ability to pivot back and forth. You do not want this thing to be stuck and jammed hard in between those two washers. If you do jam it in between those two washers, the spring will break. You know that. It'll break prematurely, normally within a couple of hours of operation. So you want to be careful of that when you're reassembling everything. And when you're adjusting the cable up top here, again, we want to put it about halfway. That's normally going to get us to where we need to be for a new clutch. Now, if you need to get more tension on this cable, you want to move this lock nut up and effectively move this cable further down that way. So loosen this up, tighten this one up to meet it, and that'll effectively move this collar down, and that'll get you more pull on the clutch if your clutch is slightly worn when you go to replace the clutch cable. You want the clutch handle to feel pretty snappy. There's not a great way to measure the amount of tension that you put on the cable, but yeah, we want it to have a good amount of force on the cable when you're engaging the clutch. That helps to prevent the clutch from slipping and burning the clutch out. I think that's about it for the clutch cable replacement. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, please give us a call.